Right now on the National Weather Desk, California's 1-2 punch. Right now, on the National Weather Desk, California's 1-2 punch. Just as one atmospheric river finishes dumping heavy rain and snow on the state, another one is right behind it.
By Sunday, a moderate risk for excessive flooding concerns.
Phil's forecast. We'll take you to the Gobler's Knob to see if an early spring is in our future.
But what this weather did not provide is a shadow or reason to hide.
We'll also take a closer look at the Groundhog Day's bizarre history.
The holiday as we know it today has changed drastically from the very first Groundhog Day.
Mosquito surge. Why there are suddenly so many biting in California, and why gray whales are now spending more time along the Pacific coast.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Amira David. The rain has finally stopped in California, but not before the atmospheric river turned many roads into rivers. The city of Long Beach saw some of the worst flooding, nearly 2 inches of rain falling in just 6 hours. Several cars were submerged under feet of water. Firefighters rescued one of the drivers. The others were able to get out on their own, and thankfully no one was injured. It was a similar scene in nearby Seal Beach. The rising water forced many businesses to close for the day. Drivers who braved the roads found the water came up their car doors. The water even entered several apartments. Residents described the scene as waves entering their homes. There was also plenty of rain throughout California's Central Valley. Myra Franco shares viewer videos of the aftermath.
It's like a river down the street.
It's to the sidewalk, Mom.
The powerful atmospheric river made its way through the Central Valley Thursday, bringing soaking rain. And P2 penny-size hail.
That is some big hail.
And I know what you're thinking. That looks like snow on the roadways, but it's hail. It was spotted in people's front and backyards in Lemoore, too. Bryce Pena shared this video of his front yard covered in hail.
My front yard, man, covered in hail. Sonic ice nuggets.
Genesis Carroll chimed in this video and stated it was hailing so badly she and others had to pull over, saying, quote, "I thought my windows were gonna burst." And at the end of the stormy day, these rainbow photos and videos were shared with us were a very welcome sight.
All that water flowing into lakes and reservoirs could lead some of them to overflow their banks. That's when officials decide to release water from dams, such as here at Northern California's Shasta Lake. And Mike Mangus has more.
Central Valley Operations is monitoring precipitation and runoff and adjusts the flows coming from Keswick Dam based on those. Priorities of reclamation are water, power, and then recreation and other needs.
Flood control is at the top of the list. This is to make sure there's enough space in Shasta Lake should the wet weather pattern continue.
We're very fortunate to have this much precipitation right now. December was very dry, and then towards the end of January, we really got a good bump of rain, which is continuing into February. If we have more storms that bring significant precipitation, we may have to increase releases. Right now, we're monitoring that situation very carefully.
The atmospheric river also brought plenty of snow to the Sierra Nevada mountains. The head of China Peak near Fresno says he can't remember seeing this much snow at once in his 40 years in the industry. He says this one storm should set them up through April.
By the time we get to Monday, we probably will have 6 or 7 feet. Probably the entire amount of snow we've had all season until now in the first 2 months of the season is going to fall in about 3 days.
There was so much snow last year at California's Mammoth Mountain. They were skiing on the 4th of July. And what's left of that storm is now heading east and will impact other parts of the country. Plus, another atmospheric river is heading to California this weekend. Meteorologist Brian Vandegraff is tracking it all for us this morning.
Well, that atmospheric river on the West Coast taking a little bit of a break, and some of that action that had been in California now moving through portions of the Deep South. There is a slight risk for some stronger weather through portions of central Texas from San Angelo over towards just west of Dallas. So we'll be keeping a close eye on that throughout the afternoon. Meanwhile, out west, after a little bit of reprieve for the start of the weekend, by Sunday, more of that atmospheric river, the Pineapple Express, bringing hefty rains through Southern California right into the early portion of next week. In fact, look at this. By Sunday, a moderate risk for excessive flooding concerns right across the coast there of southern portions of California, and it's going to carry all the way through the day on Monday as well. They're not going to get much of a break until the middle of next week.
And this is, of course, Groundhog Day, marking the ceremonial halfway point of winter. For the last 3 years, Punxsutawney Phil emerged from his burrow and predicted 6 more weeks of winter. So what is Phil's forecast for this year?
But what this weather did not provide is a shadow or reason to hide. Glad tidings on this Groundhog Day. An early spring is on the way.
That's right. For the first time since before the pandemic, Phil is forecasting an early spring. Some say that's not surprising, given this is an El Nino year. Meteorologist Joe Murgo has more on this morning's festivities in Gobler's Knob.
After a night where people stayed up all night long, they started in downtown Punxsutawney, then they came up here at 3 in the morning. We're here Gobler's Knob to hear what Punxsutawney Phil has to say. Normally, he tries his hardest to see his shadow, but he was very confident this year, and Phil says no shadow did he see, and spring is right around the corner. The crowd is really diminished, but they're still up there saying hi to Phil, who's in a container, and then Phil goes back to his nice warm burrow, and we head back to our warm burrows too. But from Gobler's Knob, I'm meteorologist Joe Murgo.
And Groundhog Day has been around since at least 1886. So what are the origins of this ceremonial event that celebrates the predictions of a rodent? Meteorologist Emily Gracie takes a look at the history of Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day, the age-old tradition of watching Punxsutawney Phil emerge from hibernation and tell a bunch of guys in top hats what the weather's going to be like for the second half of winter. Thousands of people converge at Gobler's Knob in Pennsylvania every February for this 3-day celebration. The holiday as we know it today has changed drastically from the very first Groundhog Day, where the star of the show was actually also on the menu. Yeah, that's right. The celebration in the 1880s featured a variety of groundhog meat dishes. Controversy over Groundhog Day continues, mostly among professional meteorologists that find Phil's lack of education in the field a bit off-putting. In fact, many have made note of his lack of accuracy, while others enjoy the fun that comes with the tradition. And while looking to a rodent for accurate long-range forecasting may seem a bit strange, in Zurich, Switzerland, they march a giant firecracker-filled snowman through town before lighting him on fire. The faster the snowman's head explodes, the warmer they can expect their summer to be. So, whether you choose a terrifying, exploding snowman, a fuzzy woodchuck, or a degreed meteorologist, you have multiple options for your forecast source, year after year after year after year. For the National Weather Desk, I'm meteorologist Emily Gracie.
Emily, thank you. And if you want to go more in depth on Groundhog Day, just check out our latest episode of our podcast, Off the Radar. We hear from a meteorologist about his 22 years reporting from Gobler's Knob. He shares stories about the event you won't hear anywhere else, and you can find Off the Radar anywhere you can get a podcast. The rain that's been falling in the south is making a big difference in the region's drought. This is the map of the U.S. Drought Monitor released just a week ago, and you can notice the dark red in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Tennessee. This week, most of that red is gone. There is still a drought in the area, but a much smaller region is now under an exceptional drought. Compare that to a year ago. There was no drought in the south, but Kansas and Oklahoma were bone dry, and the West had yet to reap all the benefits of the wet winter. And check out these latest images from the Webb Space Telescope. These show 19 galaxies and the millions of stars that call them home. The spiral arms are practically incandescent with orange and red gas. The images will be used to help astronomers determine the distribution of gas and dust in spiral galaxies and to better understand star formation and the evolution of spiral galaxies like our own Milky Way. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we're going to take a look at how the weather is impacting whale migration patterns in the Pacific Ocean and what's causing an explosion in California's mosquito population.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with Look at the Northeast. We're still searching for a lot of sunshine in the Northeast, and we're going to get it this weekend. Temps today will top out in the low 40s, and we'll get some sunny breaks developing after a cloudy start. Notice 2 o'clock in the afternoon, there could be a few rain and snow showers across the area. Nothing of any real significance should be expected, though. Mostly sunny skies return on Saturday. That's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Temps will be cooler in the low 30s. Look for full sunshine on Sunday with highs in the mid-30s.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region. We have a cold front continuing to pass through the area as we move through your Friday morning. Still some shower activity is going to be lingering at least until around lunchtime for most of us here. Clouds will continue to stick around until the late afternoon where we might see a few breaks in the sky to see some sunshine. Going into the weekend, though, it will be brighter, but it will be chillier. Highs tomorrow only in the 40s. We'll be seeing 50s returning for your weekend.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed. Here's a look at your forecast highs for the day. Looking at Nashville, 64 degrees, Raleigh, 63, 68 in Atlanta, Pensacola right around 67 degrees, Jacksonville, 71, 77 in West Palm. Looks pretty nice out there. Plenty of sunshine as we go through the day on Friday. Friday afternoon, nice and sunny, nice and comfortable temperatures, but our next weather maker starts moving into East Texas Friday night, and then we could get some showers and thunderstorms pushing through with this next system as we get towards late Saturday and then through Sunday.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
An atmospheric river drops at least a foot of snow on California's Mammoth Mountain. Additional powder is expected from back-to-back storms. A break is in Saturday's forecast with more snow expected into next week. And in honor of Groundhog Day, these two doggies sniffing out this look-alike, a fake groundhog. So what we do know is that this adorable counterfeit won't be seeing its shadow today.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Instagram.
In California, concerns are growing over the number of mosquitoes that seem to have appeared out of nowhere. As Anna Montemore reports, residents say the amount is very unusual for this time of year.
The Butte County Mosquito and Vector Control District says that they've recently received many calls from residents with concerns over mosquito problems. And they say there actually has been an increase in mosquitoes. This is because in the winter, when we see temperatures that increase to 60 or even to 65, those mosquitoes that have been hibernating for the winter come out and are more hungry than ever.
Primarily the ones that people are dealing with right now are the Anopheles mosquito, and they were born typically in the previous summer. And so what happens is while the cold does typically kill a lot of other mosquitoes and insects, these mosquitoes actually find harborage and go through diapause throughout the winter. And then whenever you get these warm spells, they kind of wake up, they're really hungry, and they seek a blood meal so that they can produce more eggs.
Another issue with this increase in mosquitoes is it limits how much the vector control can really do. They say that they can still make inspections and treat water sources, but they cannot fog mosquitoes in the winter months due to its ineffectiveness compared to the warmer spring and summer months. Vector control says they are still happy to help inspect the problem areas, and they recommend using bug repellent. Rain is expected to help force those mosquitoes back into hibernation till warmer and drier weather returns.
In Montana, it is not uncommon for bears to come out of hibernation for a brief period of time. However, with this year's warmer winter, bears are reemerging at a much higher rate, and that could lead to more human-bear encounters.
It wouldn't surprise me if well over half of the bears came out at some point in time. Bears do not truly hibernate. And so they're actually capable of coming out of that a little bit easier than what some others that really do.
The best thing you can do to avoid bear encounters, regardless of where you live, is to always be aware of your surroundings. And if you're going to be going to an area known to have bears, just be sure to carry some bear spray with you for some extra protection. The Bald Eagle Nest Watch is a program that helps track the population and nest health of the American bald eagle. This year's campaign just got underway. Eric Peterson is in Wisconsin to see how efforts there are going.
High atop this tree in the village of Howard, 2 American bald eagles are on alert. Brown County Parks Department Assistant Naturalist Logan Lazay says this is one spot that is part of the annual Bald Eagle Nest Watch.
And what they do is on a weekly basis, beginning in about mid-February for this area, mid-January in the southern part of the state, they monitor the nest once a week for about an hour. And they're watching for any movement from the eagles, what are their behaviors, and they're watching for the babies or the fledglings.
Lazay coordinates the initiative for Brown and Oconto counties. He says another site is in De Pere.
A bald eagle nest that's down at the Brown County Fairgrounds is very popular. A lot of people identify with that nest because they see it when they go down for the fair, or any of the events that go on down there.
Experts say the big birds are on the comeback since the 1970s after DDT was banned. They say the chemical made eggs thin, causing many nests to fail. Lazay says conservation efforts are getting results, including the Nest Watch, which has grown from 14 sites in 2018 to 204 last year. Brad Garrity runs Kakana's program out of the Thousand Islands Environmental Center.
And that helps with the counts of how many nests there are. It helps with the counts of how many nests have fledglings and then how many were successful at the end of the year. Last year, for example, I believe it was an 83% success rate with all the nests that were monitored.
It's bringing that awareness. It's really connecting people with this species, which is probably one of the most important things when it comes to conservation.
New research on the migration patterns of gray whales found that in the summer, whales are spending time along the west coast of the U.S. instead of their traditional feeding grounds in the Arctic. Rudy Aguado looks into why this is happening.
A Cal Poly Humboldt researcher investigating the summer migration patterns of gray whales from Northern California to British Columbia revealed one subgroup of whales' unique behavior.
I'm conducting a multi-year study that looks at a specific group called the Pacific Coast Feeding Group. And this is a group of whales that do not make the full migration up to the Arctic and instead forage from Northern California to British Columbia.
Researchers are still exploring the reasons why the whales spend their summers along the coastline instead of their traditional feeding grounds in the Arctic. The foraging habits of gray whales are crucial to their reproductive success, migration, and general well-being.
The Pacific Coast Feeding Group, we think that their motivation for shortening this migration likely has to do with some sort of trade-off between traveling up to the Arctic and the food that's available there and shortening that migration and eating the food that is here.
Understanding how gray whales adapt to changes prey availability in Northern California is the goal of this study.
So here in Northern California, they consume these tiny arthropods or shrimp called crustaceans. And we think that while these prey are found in high quantity, they may be low quality. And so we think that as a part of the southern end of their range, that Northern California may have different and diverse prey than other areas of their home range.
Norman hopes that her research inspires others to get involved in science and promotes future conservation of the species.
The warm cold cycle that has hit many parts of the country is causing major problems out on the roads. Meteorologist Lexi Horvath explains what's happening.
Right here on the rim, if you have a hard impact right here, it can cause a belt to break in the tire. It can cause a little divot in the wheel right here.
Mechanic Richmond Blackwell took us underneath this car, showing exactly where damage can occur when driving over a pothole.
So the slightest little bend in any of this can throw it out of alignment. And if you don't feel anything, it can cause tire wear, like on the insides.
An issue after a sudden thaw in temperatures. After the previous winter storm, water seeped into cracks in the asphalt, then refreezed into ice. Now that it's warmed up, ice melts, then evaporates, leaving space between the asphalt and roadbed. Cars push the asphalt down into the gap and a pothole is created.
Wet weather isn't just bad news for your car, it can also impact your mood. Meteorologist Tara Blake explains how on Instagram.
Rain making you sad and tired? There's a reason for that. A lack of sunlight can lead to an increased production of melatonin. That's what makes you feel sleepy. In turn, your body will produce lower levels of serotonin. So that affects your mood, your sleep, as mentioned, and your appetite, even making you crave things like carbs and comfort food. So just blame it on the rain or take a nap.
And time now for a quick break. But first, let's take in the views of sheepdogs hard at work.
Well, a very good Friday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael. Got a little bit of rain out here trying to move into Kansas today, but most of the rest of the Midwest, pretty quiet, which is not too bad. Temperatures on the cool side. That rain continues to move in a little bit more on Saturday and also heading into your Sunday. Most of this rain will be diving to the south of us as we head through the weekend. So most of the Midwest staying dry, but if you live to the southwest and the southern plains, a little wet.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. A little warmer than usual all the way from Oklahoma down into Brownsville, even over to New Orleans at 49 degrees. We're going to be watching an area here. This is a threat for hail, particularly out towards South Texas, all during the evening and night hours. Otherwise, temperatures are going to start to warm right back up into the springtime levels. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Well, hi there, everybody, and a good Friday morning to you. Happy Groundhog Day, by the way. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Out west with our El Nino going strong, boy, it is going to be as soggy as it gets in Southern California as we head into this upcoming weekend. A lot of warmth as well, with temps back into the 40s around Salt Lake and back to 50 out of Boise. Look at this atmospheric river steering south into LA and into Santa Barbara as we head into this weekend. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Parts of the Midwest are adjusting to a warmer than usual winter. Leo Goldman tells us how one park in Michigan is making up for the lost revenue.
With less than 10 days since the start of 2024 with high temperatures below freezing, one warmer weather activity is seeing popularity at Bertrand. Staff tell me they're seeing plenty of disc golfers as the cross-country skiers wait in hopes of snow.
We are ready to ski though, so if it does change from 50 degrees here and we get snow, we can go back to skiing. So that's the luxury we have. The disc golf course is always in. The only time we close the disc golf course is when we're cross-country skiing.
One disc golfer I spoke with has been coming to Bertrand County Park for more than 2 years.
It's just wonderful that we can be there for our parks, and I think the more parks that get in on disc golf will see regular flow of people participating. It's a great thing for parks departments to look into. Disc golf is a growing sport. A lot of people started picking up disc golf during the pandemic, and it's just a wonderful way to get out and enjoy nature in an engaging way. And if we can support our parks while doing that, all the better.
And for more great weather content, be sure to check us out on social media. Just search the National Weather Desk on your favorite social media platform. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Amira David. Make it a great Friday. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you right back here on